It is on in the Championship automatic promotion race. Welcome to Championship 365. Ben HD, I've been sat here for months now going, it's Bournemouth's to throw away. Forest could catch them. I think something might have changed on Tuesday. What say you?
Yeah, to be fair, I think for the longest time now, I've been along with that similar line of thinking, really, where I've been saying it's a two-horse race. Bournemouth have got enough in the bank, and Forest probably have left this a little bit too late. But with how the landscape changed in midweek, I think we've got a race in our hands for these final three matches, haven't we?
Significant night on Tuesday. Justin, I mean, you've been very disrespectful repeatedly to Scott Parker and Bournemouth. Personal attacks, most. No, I jest. You've been doubting Bournemouth hanging on to second place, but that Tuesday night antics. What I was going to ask as well is, can you almost take a positive though from a Bournemouth point of view in the return of Kiefer Moore and getting it back from 3-3, even though they are now, I think, 5 out of the last 6 they've dropped points, and the gap closed up by another 2, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I've been spitting facts for months about Scott Parker and Bournemouth. Let's be honest. I've been on that. I've been banging that drum that he's a bottler for a while. And yeah, the arrival of Kiefer Moore, he's a deviation from Scott Parker's boring, bland game plans.
So disrespectful.
It's so true though, because you just lump the ball up to Kiefer Moore, and the physical battle was showing, and he got them back into the game. Not a smart change from Scott Parker. Fact.
You may be right, Ryan. Can you elucidate on your thoughts on Tuesday night, where the gap closed up to 3 points?
Well, I've been saying for months that I'm not convinced Bournemouth are going to get this over the line, just because they're inconsistent as anything. The only issue was there didn't seem to be any obvious runners who could run it close. And then Forest come out of nowhere and win, 8 games out of 9 now? So it's all got very close all of a sudden. I'm very excited. We've essentially got 2 playoff finals happening now, and I'm all here for it. I'm excited as anything.
Well, you and me both. So what we do know now is that the auxiliary playoff final that Ryan just mentioned will definitely have something riding on it, because there was this situation we were saying a few weeks ago. Look, if the gap goes to 7, that game's irrelevant. But the gap now cannot go to 7 because it's only 2 games away and the gap is 3. So whatever happens, we go into that game. Obviously, we'll probably focus on that more next week, the match of the century in the Championship. But it can all swing again this weekend, Justin. So Bournemouth go to Blackburn, who actually... Now, let's go to Ben HD first, because you literally saw Blackburn in the flesh on Monday night. So Bournemouth go to Blackburn, and Forest are at home to Swansea. Is there a Joel Pirro's shooter's chance in that swinging back in Bournemouth's favour?
Yeah, I think there's 2 quite unpredictable matches coming up here, because, I mean, Swansea's still on the longest unbeaten run in the league. I know that, there have been a few sort of unfavourable draws in there for them recently with how they've sort of thrown things away in the second half, but they do carry a threat going into games, so it'll be interesting to see how Forest go ahead and manage that one. But I think that picking between the 2, I think I'd say that Bournemouth are more likely to drop points at Blackburn than Forest are against Swansea, if I'm honest. I think with that home advantage for Forest in that one. And Blackburn were a really interesting one on Monday night, because I think it was sort of a bit of a mixture, really, of Preston being completely on the beach. Now we have nothing to play for. And Blackburn really catching us cold in that game, to be honest. I thought their midfield was absolutely excellent. They pressed us to death in that first 45 minutes. And it was sort of a return of the Blackburn that we were seeing at the start of the season, clinical in front of goal, playing it through the lines, and actually being a little bit more daring and inventive in the final third, which has been a massive far cry from what we've generally seen from them in the second half of the season. So suddenly that game for Bournemouth isn't quite looking as straightforward as it was a few weeks ago, maybe, particularly now with Blackburn, having a small smidge of a chance of a playoff finish at the season as well. So that game's do or die for both teams. A draw's no good for Blackburn at this stage of the season either. So I can see them going for it. But I think that second half comeback from Bournemouth mentally could be big for them going into that one, because had they lost that game, I think they would have been all over the place for this one. But maybe they can take some sort of confidence from that second half showing.
What do you think then, Justin? So I'm going to go one stage further. I'm completely in the weeds here. I'm on the goal difference column already, let alone the points column. So it's so good, this. They're both on plus 30. I'm trying to work out mathematically if there's a way where we could literally have them go into the last round with identical records in terms of for and against. And someone in the comments who's better at maths will be able to do that than me. But do you see the gap closing at the weekend? If the gap closes, by the way, then the goal difference intrinsically has to go in Forest's favour, because obviously they would be better in the result. Ergo, that would mean that Forest really could go into the last day if they can win the head-to-head. And if the gap closes right up, Forest can then draw the head-to-head and they'll be ahead on the goal difference anyway. Bournemouth really cannot mess this up this weekend, Justin, can they?
Yeah, the pressure on Bournemouth this weekend is absolutely monumental, and not to fall into that repeat behaviour from me of completely constantly bashing Parker and Bournemouth, but at no point in the season have they been able to handle pressure or sustain pressure. You look at the amount of points that they've dropped over the last 6 games, for example. It's not good enough for a team pushing for the top 2. Whereas you've got Forest breathing down your neck, who under Steve Cooper have won 2 points a game. If Steve Cooper's in charge for the first 7 games, based on the maths, he's pushing Fulham for the title, let alone automatics, which just goes to show the job that he's done. So yeah, the pressure on Bournemouth, I think from that perspective, is ridiculous, because they know that Forest aren't going to let up, and they're going to go into that game in midweek in better form, much more confident as well. So yeah, the pressure to get a result this weekend is absolutely huge for Scott Parker and Bournemouth.
This is coming across as a bit of a home run, Ryan, here. We know the direction of travel. Let's just add, in the interest of balance, Forest have been playing with a central midfielder at left back. Keenan Davis I saw in the flesh at Luton. I thought he was really impressive, real handful, and he got injured, but Surridge seems to have come in there. What's the tripwire for Forest other than this thing of chase? Oh, hang on a minute. We've got there now. Let's not mess this up. What is the tripwire for Forest?
What is the tripwire? Whether it's just too much of a mountain to overcome, because they have any team who wins 8 games from 9, keeping that momentum going is the trickiest thing of all, because you're exerting so much energy in each game to make sure that you keep getting 3 points on the board. And Forest have just got to keep that going, but that's easier said than done, especially when you're coming up against a Swansea side who are unbeaten. You're coming up against Bournemouth, who are second for a reason. We've all been sceptical about them, but they're second for a reason. And then last day of the season, they've got Hull, But apart from that, keeping it going and going, that's going to be the tricky thing. And if they don't get it over the line, I will think it would just be down to, just running out of steam right at the final hurdle. But I still fancy them to do it personally.
Well, get your comments in on how you see this panning out. Whatever we say, it's never that simple. It's never, ever, ever that simple. And I always say it, guys, red card, one in the top corner from 30 yards after 3 minutes, and everything completely changes like that. On Friday night, gentlemen, Sheffield United can really, really stick a ton of pressure on everybody in the chasing pack. They play QPR. We're just seeing some news, social media right at the moment that Warburton is quoted. I haven't read it, to be honest, yet. It's literally just dropped, that the contract won't be re-signed next season, which, if I'm a QPR fan, I don't really want that coming out right now, despite however slim you think the chances are. But if I'm a Sheffield United fan, I'm thinking, right, come on, win on Friday, and that leaves everybody other than Middlesbrough really needing snookers, doesn't it? Needing to win both games. And I know Blades have got Fulham on the last day, but Justin, that's a huge opportunity for Sheffield United. And Let me just throw this one in as well. Things could get very complicated for Luton over the weekend if the results all go against them, because then they have to go to Fulham on Monday night. And we know Luton only need one more point, but it could almost then go to the final day if the tide rises below them. Just give me your thoughts on Sheffield United's opportunity and things possibly getting a bit more complex and Luton having to take it to the final day.
Yeah, it's an interesting one on Friday because Sheffield United's away form at the moment is completely woeful, but they have the caveat that Billy Sharp's back in the side, which is going to help massively. And at the same time, with the news of Mark Warburton leaving, okay, it might add the fact that everyone might take the foot off the gas, or they might want to go on a big one to see the boss out, so to speak, and really put a performance in, because I don't know who QPR have got on the last day, but it'll be Warburton's potential last home game in front of supporters, which everyone will want to see him off in the best possible way. And for Luton, it's again,
they're at Swansea. Justin, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's absolutely fine, but it just adds that factor of putting that extra 10-15% to give Warburton a send off. So it just makes it a little bit more difficult for Sheffield United, and it blurs the lines a little bit with that game. And then as you say, it can get complicated with Luton, and I think Luton's a difficult game for Fulham as well. And I know this is a completely outlandish shout, but could this possibly open the door up for Bournemouth if they win their last 3 games, pipping? Would they pip Fulham to the title if Fulham lose their next 2? Just saying, that's an interesting one to consider.
That's ridiculous behaviour. Justin, you're literally trolling yourself.
I'm just trying to keep Bournemouth fans on board because I've been relentless.
You lost them months ago. Brutal. Sorry, Justin. Ryan, surely Paul Heckingbottom's got like the easiest team talk in the history of team talks on Friday night, has he? It's like, win, you're virtually in the playoffs and put the pressure on everybody else.
Yeah. Whether it's the easiest team talk in the world, I'm not too sure, because this Sheffield United side are doing a magnificent job of really fluffing things up. But if they win, as far as I'm concerned, that's it. And even if they don't, Fulham on the last day, on paper, looks a tricky game, but you've got to remember Fulham have only won 1 of the last 5, haven't they?
They're in a lovely old time, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just on the beach already.
2
aren't
flakes,
they? Stumbling.
Flip-flops.
Yeah, basically.
Getting the towel down nice and early.
Yeah, sun cream. Make sure you pack it on, boys. But yeah, it's I think Sheffield United should get it over the line. But with the Warburton news, I think that kind of throws the cat amongst the pigeons a bit, because I think that takes the pressure off now. Alternatively, it could have the adverse effect where the players are thinking, well, don't need to impress this manager anymore. May as well, mess about. But who knows? It's so interesting heading into this Friday, and just the amount of different permutations is just going to be so. It's going to be me looking at the live league table for basically the whole weekend.
I'm there for that. Speaking of permutations, let's just play out the worst case scenario for Luton, just so it's out there, because we kind of all assumed after the Easter weekend when they beat Forest and they went at Cardiff, didn't they, as well? You're like, okay, Luton, that's decisive. You're in now. But so were Sheffield United to win, they would tie Luton up, and there'd be a minimum of 1 goal behind on the goal difference. A Middlesbrough win and a Blackburn win. We know Blackburn have to play Bournemouth, don't they? A Millwall win as well puts all of those teams within a game's reach. To be quite frank, Millwall's goal difference is 8 behind at the moment, and given the way they play, they're kind of set up to win games by 1 rather than 4 or 5, which is probably what they need to do. And Luton to have a big defeat at Fulham. But do you think Luton will go to the final day?
I think there is a potential for that to go ahead and happen. I think this weekend could be a little bit unpredictable, to be honest, with the whole playoff picture. But with Luton going into a final day showdown at Kenilworth Road against Reading, I don't think is all too bad of a fixture to go into, to be honest, given their situation at this point in time. So should that go ahead and happen, I still don't think that it would be the worst situation for them at this point in time. But it'll be an interesting weekend in and amongst the playoff picture, because I certainly think that I'd rather be in Sheffield United's position where I'm playing first, and then that goes ahead and sets the pressure on the other sides. But I don't know. Sheffield United's away form has been patchy recently. I've looked at the who scored streaks there, and they're without a win in their last 6 away matches. And going up against a QPR side, who there might be a bit of emotion in that ground, with it potentially being Warburton's last there, there could be a potential slip. I think that Borough have got 2 pretty winnable games for the rest of the season coming up as well. So, yeah, a lot of puzzle pieces this weekend. And it's interesting that all these sides sort of playing at different times. So we'll get a proper look at all of them going into the last day. But I do see the possibility of a few teams going into the last day around the playoff picture with something to play for, which I think will make it interesting.
Can you all see this, boys? This is Ben's grenade, okay? And I'm just gonna uncork Ben's grenade. So no offense to any of these teams, but this is what I'm here for. I need an early goal for QPR on Friday. I need Blackburn to score within 3 minutes against Bournemouth on Saturday. I need Middlesbrough, Millwall to all take the lead, and I just want complete chaos at Forest. It could be. We just don't want one of those really boring ones where. The team that can stretch out scores after about 1 minute. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And we will know by 3 p.m. on Saturday who is going to be joining us back. And you're going to get some very local bias now, because I think Ben HD is going to love the potential of these nice short trips for him next season. And the rest of us are going to be like, do I have to go out to Wigan and Rotherham again? But and yes, I do live 15 minutes from Stadium MK as well. So I will admit my bias very, very quickly. So state of play, Ryan, is basically Wigan would have to completely fudge this on the last day. They're 3 points ahead of MK. Rotherham play at home to Gillingham, who have to basically win to survive. So there is something on that game. Hang on, no, they play away at Gillingham as well, which makes it trickier. MK have Plymouth, who are right on the edges of the playoffs. And when I tell you these numbers, if you haven't studied the League One table, it is absurd. Someone may get 83 points, Wycombe or Plymouth, and not get into the playoffs. So Plymouth could literally be like, well, if Plymouth win, it will likely be Wycombe with the goal difference, likely be the unluckiest team in the history of League One to score 83 and possibly not get in the playoffs. So basically, Ryan, the logical solution is that Wigan and Rotherham will return and MK will end up in the playoffs. Your thoughts on having Rotherham back after one season and Wigan after that administration in, God, what many years? 1920, wasn't it? They've been out for 2 seasons.
I'm just wondering whether Rotherham will be able to bounce back in the season after next.
Stop it.
Yeah, they are the League One version of Norwich, aren't they, really? Because they breeze past every League One opposition, but as soon as they get to the Championship, they seem to struggle for some bizarre reason. But hopefully this will finally be the season where Rotherham, assuming they are back in the Championship next season, because it looks like they should be, hopefully this is finally the season where they actually do something. I think they've got probably the best chance, mainly because the squad is the strongest it's been in a while. And plus, I'd say there are 4 or 5 Championship teams right now who are definitely going to be in the Championship next season, who I'm looking at thinking relegation battle probably next season. So I think they've got a great chance of actually staying up in the Championship and maybe even finishing away from a relegation battle. Who knows? Wigan being back is something I'm enjoying a lot, because I was heartbroken when they got relegated a couple of seasons ago because of the administration. If they stayed up,
whatever became of Paul Cook?
Whatever became
Chesterfield.
I wonder where he ended up. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, having Wigan back, I think, is justice for that side that were completely sold out by the AFL a couple of seasons ago. So that's good that they'll be back, and Liam Richardson's done a fantastic job there to rebuild this team, and they look very, very good. I hope to see MK Dons in the Championship as well next season, because they've been fantastic. Scott Twine's a marvellous player and someone I think will be in the
I
Championship
think you'll be
next
seeing
season.
him whatever happens.
Exactly. I think we'll be seeing him in the Championship next season, whether MK Dons get promoted or not. But to be fair, looking at the teams who are probably going to make up the rest of the playoffs, I wouldn't mind it if any of them got promoted, to be fair, just because they all bring something else in their own right.
Let's be honest, Justin. We all want Ben HD to have to go away to Plymouth at some point, don't we? He has to go if we're sending.
Hang on. Can we just point out, if Plymouth don't get promoted, Justin's got the potential of away trips to Exeter and Plymouth next season.
Oh,
Yep.
very nice too. Who else is coming up? Forest Green are up. That's an all right one though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The services on the M6, by the way, I just need to point them out.
Okay. Very, very nice. So what are your thoughts then, particularly? I'm looking at new teams here. Excuse me. We've had MK a few years ago, Wednesday a couple of years ago. Sunderland. I know we are all content creators, and that would probably be very good for our views and whatnot, the return of Sunderland. But Plymouth would be a new fun one. Wycombe were also here last year, particularly Wycombe and Rotherham, let's just say, will add some tactical diversity to the division as well, which I'm here for as well.
Yeah, there's a good diverse mix of teams and how they play. You look at even Darren Moore of Sheffield Wednesday and how they're playing. The three at the back system, very
Give it to Bannon.
yeah, three at the back, give it to Barry. I mean, there's been a massive rotation with their centre halves this season. So many different pairings. It was almost like Liverpool last season. It's quite incredible that they've got the results they have this half of the season. But yeah, you say with Plymouth, they add something different to the mix, and it'll be interesting as well if Plymouth do come up and there's sort of this weird reuniting with Ryan Lowe and Stephen Schumacher. That'll be interesting. And then with Sunderland, we all know what can happen with Sunderland. It can go very well, or it can go tits up very badly as well. It can really go badly. And again, with Alex Neil, I think he's been linked with the Burnley job actually, if Burnley come down, which is quite incredible. But the job that Alex Neil has done at Sunderland since he came in has been absolutely incredible. And nothing short of the
scoring
surprise.
in the last minute as well.
Yeah, I think there was about 6 goals scored after the 80th minute when the game's been level with Sunderland. It's been absolutely incredible how they've turned around. And Ross Stewart, by the way, hasn't scored since early March. So he's got other scoring goals as well, which has been really important. But it is a really diverse mix of teams, and plenty of decent away days for Championship supporters. But in terms of club sizes, even Plymouth, similar to Luton in how they've gone about their business, where they've had to completely restructure sort of 10 years ago after administration and falling in between League 1 and 2. And they sort of rebounded now, and they're a club that are on the up. And it's, with MK Dons, you know what you get with MK Dons with the football that they play as well. But yeah, there's some really good teams in there and some really good individual players with those teams. And as you say, a really good diverse mix of managers and styles of play. It's going to be an exciting season next season for the Championship.
Ben, we know you're here for Wigan away, aren't you? That's a nice one. It does look like the return of Wigan and Rotherham. Do you know what? MK are the sort of team that would play lovely football all season and lose and get booted out of the playoffs. Someone will house them or something, something of that ilk. And like Justin says, you can imagine Sunderland going to the playoff final and then literally flip a coin. I was at the League One playoff final. They lost to Charlton, and I was walking past a lot of the Sunderland fans on the way out, and there was just this.
Yeah.
Every time we go near Wembley, this is what happens. So, what are your thoughts then on the likelihood of Wigan and Rotherham? And go on, be completely selfish. Who would you like to see return as well? Given a game, we should say Sunderland are a big club. Sheffield Wednesday are obviously a huge club that I'm sure we'd all like back for content reasons as well.
Yeah, it is a fascinating one. I went to Wigan away in pre-season actually this season. I was actually really impressed with what I saw from them then. So not a massive surprise to see how well they've actually gone on to do this season. And I'm looking forward to seeing them back in the Championship next season. Do you know what? I'm still not ruling out MK getting that second spot on the last day, if I'm being honest. It's absolutely bizarre how similar this season has reflected to the 14-15 season in League One, when Preston were involved and MK Dons coincidentally. So going into the final day on the 14-15 season, MK Dons were third in the table on 88 points and Preston was second on 89 points. So pretty similar point differences that we're talking here. Last day of the season, Preston had to go away to Colchester, who were in the relegation zone. We ended up bottling it, losing it. Colchester survived, and MK Dons pipped us to that second place. So this has been done by MK Dons on the final day before, which would be a bizarre thing of history sort of repeating itself if this was to happen again. But touching on the point with Sunderland, yeah, I think their fans have been through it all so far in League One, haven't they, with all these sort of playoff failures so far. But I just wonder whether Alex Neil, his experience in the playoffs, getting Norwich up previously, has that little bit of dynamism to go ahead and see them over the line, because I think they've been really impressive since he's come in there, because it was certainly no guarantee that they'd even make the top six when he came in, and sort of the form towards the end under Lee Johnson. So yeah, it'll be an interesting day for the top two at the end. But I from a selfish point of view, I'd quite like to see Alex Neil back in the Championship next season, because I think he had a bit of a tough time towards the end at Preston, really, with how things sort of unfolded at our club. So yeah, it'd be nice to see them back for me.
Can't believe you mentioned the last day of the 14-15 season, because I've just literally gone off over there. Ipswich confirmed playoffs in the Championship on the last day of the 14-15 season.
What a season.
Oh, dear. And, yeah, incoming 11th in League One a few years later. Yeah. Lovely stuff. Gentlemen, we're going to be back next week, and the game of the century is going to have happened by that point. So I'm so excited. I wonder, we could be sat here with... Forest can't be promoted. Could be sat here with Bournemouth promoted. We could be sat here with Forest in the lead. We could have the two teams completely level on points and very close on goal difference going into last day. And I think Ryan mentioned that Hull and Millwall. I think I'd rather play Hull on the last day, but yeah, there you go. Boys, thank you for joining me. Head over to Ben HD's channel on YouTube. You can check out the second tier podcast as well. My channel's the Benjamin Bloom football channel. Check out all our lovely stuff over on Football 365 as well. And we will be back next week, probably with raised heart rate levels after the match of the century. I'm bigging it up a little bit too much, the match of the century, aren't I? But, it's my job. Thanks, boys, and we'll see you next week.